All right. Well, we can go ahead and start getting things kicked off. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. Thank you so much for joining us today. I have a couple slides to just go over for those of you who maybe don't know Sanity as well. Just want to make sure we kind of reemphasize it, or maybe you've known us for several years, but just want to hear kind of what's new and where we're focusing. My name is Danielle Shylansky. I am the security specialist at Sanity and focus on our security program. So I work very closely with partners like Arctic Wolf and our security partners to kind of align and strategically understand where it fits and makes sense for our customers. And so today we wanted to talk about security and what it means going through a global pandemic, and then specifically how Arctic Wolf can address some of those concerns here. And then the fun part of it is going through kind of a trivia session at the end, and of course there'll be prizes. So with that said, I'm going to quickly do kind of an intro here. See if we can share screen. All right, you guys good?
Yes.
Awesome. So who is Sanity, right? So we've been around for 15 plus years. We were founded in 2004, basically calling Colorado home. We've significantly added resources over those past 15 years, starting kind of from a smaller sales team with one engineer to growing out to not only Colorado, but we also serve in Utah, Minnesota, and some surrounding states as well. So it's exciting. Actually, I joined in 2008 and I've been here for almost 8 years, and to grow from a team of one of 13 to one of mid 40s is really exciting to see. And it's exciting to see our customers grow and change with us, either the ones that have been with us since the beginning and ones that we continually get to know and build those relationships. One of the things that we take very seriously and that we're founded on is our legendary customer experience. And so that's the biggest part of kind of the differentiator of not only the core of our business, but the relationships that we have with our customers as well as with our partners, and really making sure that we're crossing T's, dotting I's, etc. Our account teams, as I mentioned, are in multiple states. So Utah, Colorado, as well as Minnesota. And we have kind of a diverse mix-up of IT veterans from across the country that offer different perspectives. Actually, many of our engineers came from IT roles, possibly like yourselves. So what I like about that is rather than just having a salesperson to say, okay, this might be a good fit, it's people that have truly been in your shoes. And again, another differentiator is really acting in the best interest. Since we have many on our staff that have sat in your shoes, we really want to make sure what's protecting you, what's keeping you up at night, what can we do to avoid that. And one of the reasons actually we love partnering with Arctic Wolf, which we'll get into. At the core of our solutions, as you guys have worked with us before, we started out in the data center focus, servers, storage, networking, etc., and really have grown out as the landscapes changed, but also new technologies have developed. And recently, as you know, we've made heavy investments in security, networking, and cloud specifically, and then encompassing professional services around that to really deploy a very holistic approach. Today, we'll really be focusing on security. And the key areas within security that are focused for us are kind of all encompassing, but I think this gives a good view to show you it's not just like we're looking at one aspect of it. So when you think of securing your infrastructure, securing your IoT devices, making sure that you're educated both from a cybersecurity perspective as well as a general perspective for your employees to really be trained. As we know, human error can definitely be an element to security attacks. So just wanted to give kind of an overview there. And then last but not least, first slides for me, kind of why we partner with Arctic Wolf and why we're here today. And some of the reasons that we believe that they're differentiators in the industry is really that 24/7 SOC monitoring, detection, incident response for threat landscape. In addition to that, coupling it with having 2 dedicated security engineers as an extension of your team is extremely valuable. It's part of my last bullet here, but going along with that 2 dedicated security engineers is really one of the reasons we started partnering with them is they have executives that were founded from Compellent Copilot. So if any of you are familiar with Compellent in their top service level model with Copilot, that's kind of one of the differentiators of what came over to Arctic Wolf. And one of the reasons that we also have strong partnerships in that is because, you know what, technology sometimes doesn't always work. Storage, it can break, right? What do you do when something goes wrong? Is someone there? Are they going to make it right? Are they in it with you? And I think that's a key differentiator in not only having those 2 dedicated security people, but a full SOC team behind those engineers that you would directly work with. So you're not calling into tier 1 support, waiting online for however long, whatnot. Really centralized collecting traffic analysis, able to contain threats, and we'll go into this in further detail, but really also reducing that time to triage by catching the threats in minutes instead of being in your system for weeks, days, even months sometimes. So with that said, I'll let the experts talk about it and we will get into the good stuff. I appreciate you guys letting me introduce myself and kind of talk about where Sanity's at today, and I will let Matt take it from here.
All right, thanks. Let's get this PowerPoint loaded up here. Can everybody see that okay?
Yep.
All right, sounds good. So myself and Connor Ward are here today to talk about trends that we're seeing emerge from a security operations perspective during this COVID-19 pandemic. A lot of this stuff is fairly unprecedented. And we're also going to tell you a little bit about, how Arctic Wolf is able to help with some of those solutions. But Connor, is there anything you want to say before we lead it off?
No, I don't think so. I know, I think the goal is to go over just a few key examples that our concierge security team has seen, and then just deliver our approach and how we're delivering our security platform, and then we'll head into trivia. But no, I think you teed it up nice, Matt.
All right, sounds good. So as far as challenges and emerging threats that we are seeing in our SOC goes, there's a number of remote worker challenges that companies are dealing with just as part of that transition of going from a in some cases 0% remote workforce to 100% remote workforce. And one of the first things that we're going to talk about here is a lack of IT and security policy, procedures, solutions, and setting all this stuff up on the fly, right? So if a company hasn't built out a remote workforce program for the masses, there's a lot more than just technology to consider, right? There's communication, policy, procedures, as well as those technology solutions. And a lot of the gaps that are being identified as companies move quickly to enable this remote workforce means that, on top of day-to-day activities for IT departments and security, there's a whole new project that would normally take months and years to accomplish that companies are pushing out in a matter of days and sometimes weeks. And there's bound to be some gaps and misconfigurations in that process. The next area here is that these IT security processes and resources are going to be impacted during that transition. So a lot of organizations have, only 10% of their workforce accessing digital resources or something like that. And now suddenly there's this demand to have 100% of these resources available. And that's where you run the risk of overtaxing that infrastructure and having to, add new servers, add new devices, expand your storage, and sourcing this hardware during this pandemic, as I'm sure a lot of you have experienced this already, is becoming incredibly difficult. The manufacturing sector is heavily hit by COVID, and sourcing things like webcams and laptops and servers is becoming a very difficult task. On top of all of this, the standard employee behavior is changing, right? So employees that have not worked from home in the past are starting to change their natural behavior in order to accomplish their jobs. This means that they might start using non-sanctioned IT applications to do things like listen to music, load up that PowerPoint or that other file that somebody sent that, suddenly they don't have this tool that they used to have working in the office. This shadow IT is going to grow, and that can become kind of problematic for a lot of IT departments. To sum this up, the attack surface overall for businesses are growing more and more. But this inherently means that we're also at our weakest from an IT perspective, and these attackers and criminals know it. And and they're responding in kind with a number of different threats specific to COVID-19. We're seeing this specifically in the phishing and social campaign arena, where, according to Proofpoint, the current cumulative volume of coronavirus-related email lures is the largest collection of a single theme that they've ever seen in years and possibly ever, right? And we're also seeing this reflected in domain registrations, where there's been over 16,000 coronavirus-related domain registrations since the beginning of January. And that's not only legitimate businesses, but it's absolutely related to an increase in social and phishing campaigns that are targeting the pandemic. And they're using these lures and fear-mongering to do things that they wouldn't normally do. We're also seeing a large spread of malware distribution preying on fears of COVID, wanting users to install software that's going to help them keep track of COVID and find cures and things like that. And this is also, increasing their attack surface. We're seeing an increase in sophisticated attacks using COVID as a way to create urgency and fear. Like, hey, we need your donation right now to find a cure for corona, or we've got this DIY solution that's available to you. We just need your credit card information and we'll ship one out to you. Things like that. Things that people want, and we're seeing these attacks be pretty successful, even in our SOC. These are things that we're responding to more and more on a daily basis. I want to go over a couple specific examples of these types of events, so you can get an idea of what we're actually dealing with here and what the security landscape is like. The first of these is a phishing example, and this is where we're seeing this trend grow of impersonation of official government agencies happen. So spoofers are taking on the identity of the World Health Organization, CDC, Public Health Agency of Canada, etc. And I know it's kind of hard to see on this slide here, but this is a really good phishing email, right? It appears to come from the CDC, and it's preying on this fear that the coronavirus is airborne now, and people are going to want to know what that means. It's an emotional trigger. And how this is actually happening is the attacker's using just an SMTP hello command that's accepted to impersonate the cdc.gov email on the receiving mail server, and because they don't have proper SPF rules enabled to reject those messages, these are going to get through. And this message specifically, we've seen has a really high click rate because it does a good job of looking legit, like it's really coming from the CDC. And it has a very fear-invoking headline that a lot of people are going to want to investigate further on their own. And once the user clicks on this link, it redirects them to a phishing site with an Outlook logon page, pretty standard stuff for a lot of organizations. But then once the credentials are submitted, it redirects them back to the legitimate CDC site. So users who have gone through this phishing attack don't even really know that they've been phished because it's so successful from start to finish. But what do you do about it, right? Well, we can teach users on what to do. We can hover over the link and confirm that it's a valid email. Or instead of clicking on this link, we can train users to search for that topic and see, okay, well, is coronavirus airborne? Or try and find some news articles from a reputable source and approach it that way instead of clicking on the link to follow through with that. From a technical perspective, we can use SPF a little bit more to verify the sender and put proper rules in place. This isn't going to stop all the spoofing out there in the world, but this is going to help mitigate a great deal of it. Another example on the phishing topic here, so again, right in line with that impersonation of official government agencies, is organizations trying to elicit Bitcoin and just credit card information for help trying to create a disease, right? Everybody wants to help, especially if you've got a couple bucks in your pocket right now. It makes sense to want to donate and put that money towards a good cause to help everybody get through this pandemic. Unfortunately, that's not the case. They're going to take that money and run. They're going to take your credit card information and run. And we all know how that ends. Another email that we saw from Mimecast here was using lures specifically to ask users for credit card information so that they can order that DIY home testing kit, right? What parent and family doesn't want to know that their kids are safe and that their family's safe and that they either do or don't have the coronavirus? Unfortunately, a lot of this stuff is too good to be true, and helping train your employees and staff to recognize that those too good to be true type events are usually false is really key. And we can do things again like searching for it outside of email. Are there DIY kits available to buy? If it's real, it's going to be reported by other sources. We know these phishing and social campaigns are going to continue to happen, and education is really a key part of this. On the malware side of things, this is one that we've started to see crop up quite a bit with a lot of users starting to work from home that haven't traditionally been working from home. And the situation here is that we have remote users, remote home environments, and routers specifically being targeted for DNS redirection. So this news article that we verified here.
You got to switch your slide to the malware.
Oh, yep, you got it. Thanks, appreciate that. So this is going to affect users working from home with their home routers, and these routers are vulnerable to basic configuration changes because oftentimes they're going to be unpatched. They're not going to have the latest firmware. Most home environments don't do as good a job with security as their corporate environment, for obvious reasons, and that makes them very easily exploitable. So in this case specifically here, the home router allowed them to query DNS servers that the attackers control, and ultimately serve the users a fake website that was prompting the installation of software that's going to give them the latest and greatest information on COVID-19. Where is it spreading? Are there local alerts? But of course, users aren't getting that kind of software. They're getting a new Trojan that we're starting to see emerge in the security landscape here. And that Trojan is going to be stealing their data. It's going to be stealing cookies, browser history, everything you see here on the slide. Nothing good usually comes from something like that. And in a lot of cases, this can actually lead to more ransomware and more malware. And if you don't have good anti-malware in place, it's not a good situation to be in. As far as what we can do to help with this, it's a little bit trickier than education on phishing and spam and things like that, but we can share best practices around home routers. Log in, change that default password, see if there's a software update available. Make sure encryption's enabled for your Wi-Fi, that you don't have, your neighbors and anybody driving by being able to log on and conduct attacks like this. Set specific DNS server settings like Quad 9 or Google DNS, and don't just use the default DNS settings that the DHCP provider is gonna send to you. The last emerging threat that we should talk about here is the growing attack surface among IT organizations, right? Open ports are increasing to enable the remote workforce. Users got to do their job, and IT departments are being asked to respond to this immediately. Slow and steady is not really the way that some organizations are taking it right now. And this has the result of expanding that attack surface significantly. So obviously, as we open more services to the internet, you're going to see more external vulnerabilities. Specifically at Arctic Wolf, in the last couple months here, we saw a 170% increase of just raw open ports on firewalls and external IP addresses. And of course, we can see on the other side here that this is leading to an overall 20% increase in external risks. These are things that some organizations have the ability to detect, like Arctic Wolf customers. We're going to be able to see those changes and those newly open ports and risks through our vulnerability scanning and make recommendations to keep this safe. But this is a trend that's going to apply to almost all organizations that are out there right now. And it absolutely underscores the need for vulnerability management, patch processes, firewall review of existing rules, and just overall external posture assessments. We need to understand what ports and services are open and make sure that we didn't actually accidentally put in like an any rule just to make your boss happy or something like that. So next we're going to talk through, how Arctic Wolf specifically can help your business dealing with these threats and detecting these threats, and prevent malicious actors from taking advantage of the COVID pandemic, and how adding just another tool might not be the best way to go forward. So for that, I'll hand it off to Connor.
Awesome. I'll take the presenter role if you'd like.
Okay, sounds good. Does anybody have any questions while he's doing that?
Awesome. Well, Arctic Wolf, just fundamentally, we believe that there's an effectiveness problem. And what we mean by that, I think these stats here say it all, is that security is a very, very noisy space, right? There's over 3,000 vendors, whether it's products, services, platforms, et cetera. And there's a lot of decisions out there to be had for organizations, and organizations are putting money into their security environment and their fundamentals. It's a $120 billion industry, but yet breaches are continuously going up. In 2019, there were 1,500 reported breaches. That's up 16% from 2018. And these are ones that are just reported. And so we have all of these solutions, all these products, but they're not solving the problem. And when we talk to organizations and what we're helping solve and talking with is how do we find the right approach, right? Because security has evolved. It's no longer a set it and forget it mentality. Is that we're finding a lot of organizations do a really good job of having the basic and the perimeter tools in place, right? Having an antivirus, having a firewall. Then you get into next gen tools with machine learning and AI, which is great. But at the end of the day, it's more human intervention. It's creating more hay. It's not actually guiding you to the problem. And where we're seeing a lot of organizations today is in the security platform, right? Is when you think about the McAfees and the Symantec, they're getting this centralized location and platform for you. But again, they're only as good as the amount of time and resources that you put into it. And so what we're finding is a lot of organizations are now asking themselves, how can we ensure that we have the operational side of things down, the human side of things down? Because we have all these products that are doing their job, but if something does get through, or we don't have the time and the resources to actually look through the alert, how can we ever know that we're safe? And just going through a few key examples here, arguably some of the most well-known cybersecurity attacks that have happened in the last decade. Taking a look at Target, for example, right, is that their security product did detect the threat. They just didn't have the resources, or they didn't have the person to look at the threat and detect that it was real and do what's needed to mitigate the risk from happening. When it comes to Equifax, it was a known vulnerability. Even an open source free vulnerability management tool knew about this vulnerability, but without having and utilizing the team, the operational side of things, to patch that vulnerability, they were wide open for a cyber attack. That's ultimately what happened, and hundreds of millions of people's information were compromised. And then lastly is with Capital One is a misconfiguration in the cloud service. And we're seeing this, a big shift in the way organizations are having their own internal environment is in the cloud with AWS and Azure, and hoping and expecting that they're doing what they can to keep you safe. And they have the basic tools when it comes to security, but they still don't have the 24/7 to ensure that nothing is getting through your cloud environment. And that's ultimately what happened at Capital One with a misconfiguration that went unnoticed. And so what you can take away from these three examples here is that these are not product failures, right? These are operational failures, lacking the people and the broad visibility in order to answer the question, are we safe? And so when taking a look at the operational approach, and in order to be a true operational leader in the security space, we fundamentally believe that it's really having these 5 pillars, right? It's being able to have broad visibility, not just focusing on one point of telemetry like the endpoint or the antivirus or the firewall. It's getting everything with security pertinent data within your environment that allows you to know what's going on within your environment besides relying on one point. And then secondly, it's having 24/7 coverage, right? Attackers, like they don't just work 8 to 5, right? If something were to happen in the middle of the night or off hours, how do you know before coming in that next morning? And then having access to expertise. Security engineers, security expertise is expensive, and to do it in-house is tough for a lot of organizations. So if you were to outsource it, it's what type of communication do you have, right? Do you have access to expertise? Is it a 1-800 number, or is it a tier support line? What does that expertise look like? And then having that strategic guidance, working alongside you to show you what sort of common trends or data we're seeing within your environment to help continuously improve your organization and your security foundation that you have at your organization. And so that's ultimately where Arctic Wolf is coming in and how we're delivering our service with our security operations platform. Right. So how do we do it? I know in the interest of time, we aren't going to dig too deep and keep it relatively high level today, but some key differentiators and with Arctic Wolf is that we're going to sit on top of your existing technology stack. We're vendor neutral. So this is a big differentiator with us, is that, we're not saying, hey, in order for us to be able to monitor your network and deliver our service, you have to use a specific endpoint agent or a specific firewall. We've built out parsers or sysog that allows us to sit on your existing technology stack, that allows us to get that broad visibility across your entire threat surface. And another benefit here is that we aren't pricing off of events per minute or events per second, and you have to decide, okay, which log sources would we want Arctic Wolf to ingest? We price off your attack surface. So it's a fixed variable cost. It's not relying off of how many log sources we're ingesting within your environment. Now, where does all that data go? Well, we've built our own proprietary technology, our own cloud native platform that allows us to get that visibility with your concierge security team that we're going to be utilizing, right? And how we're able to deliver our platform, our security operation platform, are ultimately through these three solutions, again at a high level, but starting from on the right hand side or the left hand side there with the managed detection response. This is where we're helping you. We're doing the triage and forensics. We're doing the log aggregation, doing that 24/7 monitoring, that threat hunting. That if something does get through your perimeter, your prevention tools, we're going to do the investigation, figure out if it's real, and if it is real, we're going to call you and give you a step-by-step process on how to remediate it. So drill you to the outcome. I mentioned earlier that a lot of these next-gen tools and these platforms are creating more hay, but they don't actually lead you to the needle. With Arctic Wolf and our managed detection response and that concierge security team approach, that's exactly what we're doing. We're helping you, we're leading you to that needle and telling you what you need to do to mitigate the risk, or in a sense, take that needle out. When you're moving into the middle here with the managed risk platform, this is a huge value add as well, because this is continuous vulnerability management for our customers. So besides doing a vulnerability assessment or vulnerability scanning annually or quarterly or perhaps monthly, it's great. But at the end of the day, you're getting a large list of vulnerabilities. You're maybe eliminating a number of them, but the next time you do a vulnerability scan, there's a whole new list. This is continuous. So we're doing continuous internal, external, and host-based vulnerability scanning that you're working alongside your concierge security team at Arctic Wolf to help drive down those vulnerabilities and mitigate an event from happening in the first place. And lastly is really our cloud monitoring solution, which is really encompassing of both. As we're seeing a big shift in organizations move into the cloud, having cloud adapters to be able to monitor such things as your email with Office 365 or G Suite or AWS Azure, having that visibility into your cloud environment is only getting more popular as we're seeing a shift in organizations going into the cloud. So at a high level, that is how we're delivering our security operations platform, is through our managed detection response solution, that continuous, or the 24/7 monitoring, the managed risk, the continuous scanning, and then again, encompassing of both is that cloud monitoring solution. So I know the hope of what this should give you is that with an operational approach, we are helping better protect our customers and our organizations from all types of attacks. Now, I'm not going to go through each statistic here, but one thing that I do think is important to note is the dwell time, right? On average, it takes an organization over 200 days, 206 days to be specific, before they realize that an incident occurred. With Arctic Wolf and that concierge security team, our platform, our dwell time is 30 minutes. Now, something that's deemed critical, it's less than that. But that's the value that Arctic Wolf is bringing with our concierge security team and our operational approach to help mitigate the risk from an incident occurring within your environment in the first place. So lastly, why Arctic Wolf? Well, we believe it's these three fundamentals here. One, it's stronger protection, getting that broad visibility, that 24/7 coverage, and that concierge security team expertise, the faster outcomes, our ability to deploy, our dwell time to figure out if something has gone on within your environment and work with you alongside you to mitigate that incident is what we're able to provide. And then lastly is the better value, right? Is that our unlimited data, our ability to ingest logs with everything within your environment, and not having to rely on another product and build out the rules and the processes, or go out and purchase more equipment or hardware in order for us to deliver our service, is the last value that Arctic Wolf is what we're able to provide for our customers. So that's Arctic Wolf in a short 20-minute video here. Any questions at all before we dive into trivia time? Perfect. I'll take that as a no. Well, we'll see how well everyone's paying attention during the trivia time here, because we have some cool gifts. So the first place is going to get a Yeti cooler, thanks to the Sanity team, and then second place is a $50 Amazon gift card, and third place is a $25 Amazon gift card. So if you go to www.kahoot.it, I'll pull up the webpage and it'll give us a login for all of us to join on the same page. I don't know if there's anything you want to add at all, Danielle, or?
Nope, I don't think so. I'm ready to play some trivia, though.
Cool. I will go full page here.
Just so you know, we're not seeing the game code, Connor.
Okay.
That's what you're getting to.
Yes, I'm pulling it up.
Hey, Connor, what was that game pin again?
I am pulling it up right now.
It has to refresh, so we'll give you just another minute. I know we were testing that out this morning.
Exactly. Sorry about this. It must have been up and I have to log back in again. But I'm getting to it.
We'll be patient. Maybe some people are grabbing a little lunch since it is starting to get into lunch hour in the mountain time.
Exactly.
Thanks for bearing with us here.
Okay. You guys can hear that. That's fun noise.
Oh yeah.
Let me turn this off. So you can see what the pin is, right? Confirm that you guys can see this?
Yep.
Can see it.
Okay. So when I went to the whole page, it kind of went off on me. But yeah, so if you guys can join there. I'll give it till 35. I don't know if there's anyone, or if they want to chat and just say they're trying, or if anyone has difficulty, please stick up. And
Yeah, we have 10 now and we have 21 participants in the room, so we'll give everybody another minute here. If you don't have dual screen right now, you can also use your phone. So if you just go to the web browser, it's an easy way to do it too. I've played on there.
And I don't know if we're going to have Matt Coleman or Paul play. So a little unfair for Arctic Wolf to play.
That's fair. I'm just playing for fun. Don't worry, I won't get any prizes. I won't steal them from our customers.
Same for you, Matt Nichols. You're not getting a prize today.
Uh-oh, he might be logging off now. Also play for fun.
It's been fun then. No, I'm just kidding.
Perfect. Well, let's get started. I think we're good.
All right. If
Unless
anyone
anyone
has
has
trouble,
problem, please.
yep,
please do that.
throw it in the chat. And maybe what we can do is this game pin. Connor, can you copy and paste it? I can only do screen share. If you can copy and paste the game pin as well as the website, then maybe we can throw that in the chat for anyone that might be having difficulty but can still see the game pin.
Sure. There we go. All right.
Thank you.
Awesome. So I saw 9 and now we got 7. All right. Well, let's just start and folks can join. Might have a tough time catching up, but that's all right. So 20 questions. It shouldn't take longer than 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. So first question, in 2019, it was reported by Gartner that organizations spent over 120 billion in cybersecurity products and software. Perfect. Steve C., you're up on top. Which one of these is part of the operational approach? Again, which one of these is part of the operational approach? Very nice. So it goes by speed too. So you got to think and you got to act. All right. Arctic Wolf can help monitor only your on-prem environment, not the cloud. True or false? Very nice. In 2019 alone, there were how many reported breaches? Ooh, that was a tough one.
Yeah, tricky question.
Look at that. Ooh, Alex P coming up big. I-Man with the light, with the fire. All right, Arctic Wolf is vendor neutral in regard to your existing tools in place. And keep in mind, the question is up here as well. But again, Arctic Wolf is vendor neutral in regard to your existing tools in place. Very nice. All right, which is the industry average, or what is the industry average for a company to identify an intrusion in their environment? 206 days. Very nice. Arctic Wolf is a market leader in security operations. True or false?
If you don't get that one right, I don't know how to help you at this point.
That was an easy one. There would be a couple trolls in here if they did false. That would be ideal. Okay, question 8. What was the main reason behind all 3 of the well-known breaches that were mentioned in today's presentation? What was the main reason behind all 3 well-known breaches? Nice. Awesome. Dennis, making a comeback. Love it. Question 9. Which is not one of the main services offers provided by Arctic Wolf? Got my dyslexia coming out here, guys. I apologize. Which is not one of the main service offerings provided by Arctic Wolf? EDR, MDR, Managed Risk, Managed Cloud. Nice. Dennis coming in hot. True or false? Arctic Wolf's costs are fixed and they do not charge for the amount of data ingested? True. Awesome. So that was the end of round one, Arctic Wolf questions. So congrats. I'm in on top. Dennis in second. Chris, Alex, Steve. So now we got a few questions on round three is Sanity. I think there's 5, and then there's 3 or 4 pop culture ones for the final round. So into 2. What year was Sanity established?
Everybody's Googling it quick.
Very nice. Dennis with the streak of 7. True or false? Sanity Solutions offers professional services within and outside of the data center, including assessments and training. Jeez, that was the quickest one. True or false? Sanity Solutions has a dedicated security focus offering a holistic approach to enterprise security. Beautiful. Dennis, coming up big. Where is Sanity Solutions headquartered? Well, that kind of gives it away. Or is that a trick? That looks like, that definitely looks like Salt Lake to me. Well played, Jake. All right, coming down to the wire here. Last question with Sanity. Sanity Solutions established its foundation within data management and has since grown to include security and cloud. All answers were done before I even finished reading it. Great work. All right, pop culture here. You ready? We're ready. We see the standings. All right. Which iconic basketball player is known for faxing the NBA and statement saying, "I'm back"? Ooh, nice. That was a tough one.
That should shake things up a bit.
Yep. Perry coming up hot here with 7 in a row. Which famous actor or actress has never won an Oscar? Tom Cruise. Bang. All right. See what you did, Perry. Coming up. Oh, dropped a little bit. That's all right. One more question, I believe. Oh, 2 more. What is the capital of New Mexico? Three more questions. Santa Fe. Very nice. All right. 19. What candy was famously coined for the phrase "taste the rainbow"? These are good questions. Nice. All right. Final here. What is Joe Exotic, aka the Tiger King's real name? Wow, that might have shaken some things up here. All right.
Oh man.
The podium.
Here we go.
Dennis with the Yeti. Matt. That's not cool. Oh, I'm sorry. This is third place. Iman
Yeah.
with the Yeti. Bang.
Nice. Awesome. Well, good work, everyone. We will be sending out your prizes here shortly, probably within the next week or so. So, and for the Yeti, for the Yeti, we'll be sending that out in the next week or so. And then hopefully we can probably get the gift cards out via email. So shouldn't be a problem. And you guys should see those soon. Thank you guys for participating. If you guys want to work closely with Arctic Wolf and the Sanity team and learn a little bit more about what Arctic Wolf has to offer and some of their services, we'd be more than happy to talk further. You can contact myself, Connor, of course, your account executive at Sanity, probably sent you an invite. So we'd love to chat with you further, but until then, have a wonderful day. Thanks so much.